We can wait.
Come on, if we keep waiting, Leon's gonna come. Come on! Come on!
Start the meeting.
Are we
Doesn't
good?
mean that-
We're on air.
Meeting number 37 is now called to order this July 1st, 2019. It is 5:30 PM, and we are in the Thomas J. Smith Council Chambers. Would you all please stand and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, all of you, and Leon at home. Kathleen, roll call, please.
Wilson,
Here.
Phillips,
Here.
Graham Murray,
Here.
McCampbell,
Here.
Rinker.
Here.
All right, tonight first we have the Turf Indoor Sports Facilities Award from the Greater Burlington Area Sports Facilities Imagine. And I just want to present this. Can we get a close-up of this?
Nice.
See that? That was presented to the city just a couple days ago.
Last Tuesday.
Last Tuesday for the opening of the turf, and it says, Greater Burlington Area Sports Facilities Imagine, presented to City of Burlington, and grateful appreciation for your significant support of the indoor sports facilities, June 2019. And this was given to the city, and as the current city council, we accept it on behalf of the city, so we're glad to have this. I've never won anything. They really like me. All right. What's that? You want to touch it?
No, I'm good.
Is that your best Sally Field imitation?
Oh, that was the best as it gets. Okay, next on the agenda tonight is the consent agenda. All matters listed under item 1 consent agenda having been discussed are considered to be routine by the city council and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussions of these items. If a discussion is desired, that item will be removed from the consent agenda and will be considered separately. On the consent tonight, we have the usual finances and miscellaneous, minutes of previous meetings, payroll and city claims, beer, liquor, wine, and cigarettes, reports, and bonds. We have 7 resolutions. First is a resolution approving nuisance abatements for various properties. The second is a resolution approving change orders, final acceptance, final payment, and release of retention monies for the 2019 D. Edwin and Gladys White Park renovations. The third is a resolution approving professional service agreement with Klingner and Associates PC for construction inspection for the RISE Grant construction project. The fourth is a resolution approving professional service agreement with Klingner and Associates PC to perform the design of the Sycamore Street and Virginia Avenue drainage improvements over Bluff. Number 5 is a resolution approving professional service agreement with Midland GIS Solutions LLC to perform storm sewer GIS data collection. The 6th is a resolution authorizing adoption of policies and procedures regarding municipal securities disclosure. And then the 7th is a resolution approving the expenditures of flood-related projects. We have one hearing set for July 15th for consideration of sale of property, locally known as 209 South Gunnison Street, City of Burlington, Iowa, with conditions, and we also have 2 appointments. Mayor Pro Tem?
Yes, we have an appointment for the Library Board of Trustees for Donald Schmigel. And the Southeast Iowa Regional Riverboat Commission, we have Matt Rinker. We thank you both for your service on those.
Right on. Would anybody like to have any of these items removed from the consent? Mr. Phillips?
Yes, Your Honor, I'd like to have number 7 removed from the consent agenda.
Okay, we're good?
Your Honor, I have moved to approve all listed items under the consent agenda minus number 7.
Second.
Moved in second. Kathleen, let's vote.
Wilson,
Aye.
Phillips,
Aye.
Graham Murray,
Aye.
McCampbell,
Aye.
Rinker.
Aye.
Okay, this is time for consideration of plans and specs for the 2019 Denker Park Pool Improvement Project. Mr. Tisland.
This is the Denker Park Pool Project. This is a private initiative undertaken by the Southeast Iowa Swim Club. They've done fundraising for the dome and pool improvements to cover the entire cost of the project. This would put a dome over the Denker Park Pool to allow for year-round use of the pool. The project's being administered by the city since this project's making improvements to the city property. The pool will be operated by a leasee, Most LLC, during the city's off-season. They have an agreement with the city. Staff would not have the intention to operate the pool in the off-season if there's no separate leasee running the pool. The pool is intended to allow a swim program in the off-season, not just open swimming. So that's critical that there's a leasee for operation of this. The Project would make improvements to the pool deck surrounding the main pool, condition the pool house for winter use, and include associated mechanicals, electricals, and plumbing improvements. Looking to have a bid opening on July 3rd at 2 PM here at City Hall. The engineer's estimate for the project here was $416,000. Again, those costs are entirely by the Southeast Iowa Swim Club, so they have to have that on hand or available before we'd issue contract for it. One item we'd previously discussed earlier in the year with the lease was the pool heater. This had some recent issues where we had to do some maintenance and work on it. It is running now, but it is something that the city is able to operate during the summer without. We haven't had it on for the last week, but would be critical for the year-round operation, especially in the winter months. And that's approximately a $30,000 expense, so that's something we've made the swim club aware of, and could be something that may have to be looked into or purchased prior to operation this winter.
Okay.
Just as an aside on that, you had an HVAC issue yourself out at the golf course. Unit out there is in need of being replaced. That wasn't budgeted to happen until fiscal '21, so we're looking to have that happen a year early. That's
$4,700, yeah.
$4,700 for that expenditure. PD is another place where we've seen several HVAC issues with different components that weren't replaced, some that were and still have during the renovation and still have need of new upgrades, probably in the $30,000 range total, between repairs to individual parts and then one HVAC unit that wasn't replaced during the rehab.
So you're at 35, you're at 35 grand and growing.
Yeah, and those are, the pool, if we have a split cost on that heater and it does come to fruition that we need to do it this next year, that's out of the general fund. The PD building is out of the general fund. The golf course it's out of the golf course, and it's kind of, from that one, we'll have to see where we stand cash-wise, whether we're talking about doing that as a capital item the way it was originally intended and swapping out some capital items within the golf course or what during the course of the year. That swapping out items would probably create some level of concern, but we'll have some discussion as we move over the next few months.
Right on.
Okay.
Eric, I know the pool was funded and designed for use in the winter by the swim team. Would it ever be open to the public to help offset costs a little bit?
I think they've had some discussions about having it open for the public for lap swimming, but it's completely operated by Most LLC. But I know they've had discussions with Hope Haven and Des Moines County about some opportunities there. And I think they certainly would be open to some of that, but it comes down to staffing and availability too.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, Eric, I got a question. As far as the pool deck goes, are we making it larger?
It will be slightly larger because there's a foundation required for or footings required for the pool dome. I don't believe it's tremendously larger.
Because wasn't one of the objectives of theirs to be able to host meets and tournaments?
Yeah, there'll be limited viewership for those, but part of that too, they want to try and host those before the dome goes up, and outdoor meets and tournaments would be more ideal. I guess after our season closes, like the week or two after, and maybe a week or two before we open. But they could have some during the winter seasons as well. There will be limited capacity in that facility.
Okay.
Are we satisfied?
Your Honor. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No,
You satisfied?
no, yeah, I'm satisfied.
Anybody from the audience, everybody satisfied? Okay,
Your Honor, I have a motion to close.
Second.
moved in second. Kathleen?
Wilson,
Aye.
Phillips.
Aye.
Graham Murray,
Aye.
McCampbell,
Aye.
Rinker.
Aye.
Your Honor, I have a resolution approving plans and specifications for the 2019 Denker Park Pool Improvement Project.
Second.
Moved in second. Kathleen, let's make it happen.
Wilson,
Aye.
Phillips,
Aye.
Graham Murray,
Aye.
McCampbell,
Aye.
Rinker.
Aye.
Okay, number 2 is a consideration of an encroachment agreement with Y&J Properties LLC for encroachment into city right-of-way adjacent to 425 Valley Street, Burlington, Iowa. Tisdale.
Again, this is Y&J Properties. They own the property 425 Valley, looking to make improvements to this property with upper story residential, first floor commercial. Part of their plan would include a stairway access off of the alley for their utility boxes and access for line energy into, for all their electrical services. Sidewalk railings on the west side, on the North Fifth Street side, where the sidewalk elevates above the roadway, and then some signage on the main floor as well. Again, the stairway access would project approximately 4 feet into the alley there on the east side. The proposed railing is on the west side, running along the length of the sidewalk there, and then some of the signs would be just above the sidewalk. This is pretty common, pretty straightforward as far as encroachments go. I think there's a view as well of the railing would run again along that west side where the sidewalk elevates above the street, and then some of the signs would be above the windows there on the street side.
What kind of signage are you talking about? Is that comparable to what you see with other businesses, commercial spaces downtown?
I think they talked about some blade signs, but also some lettering signs trying to match the historic character of that building. Part of it depends also on what goes in there in the whether it's retail or restaurant, or what type of use and what their needs are. But any signage would have to meet our vertical encroachment 8 feet above the sidewalk, making sure that it meets all those requirements for clearance.
Questions, concerns from the audience? Council?
No.
Let's do this.
Your Honor, I have a motion to close.
Second.
Moved in second. Kathleen?
Wilson,
Aye.
Phillips,
Aye.
Graham Murray,
Aye.
McCampbell,
Aye.
Rinker.
Aye. Your Honor, I have a resolution approving a permanent encroachment agreement with Y&J Properties LLC for encroachment into the city right-of-way adjacent to 425 Valley Street, Burlington, Iowa.
Second.
Moved in second. Kathleen, let's vote.
Wilson,
Aye.
Phillips,
Aye.
Graham Murray,
Aye.
McCampbell,
Yes, please.
Rinker.
Aye.
All right. Number 3 is consideration of plans and specs for the 2018 Front Street Hawkeye Arch Sewer Repair Project. Mr. McGregor.
This project is a rebidding of a project that was bid out last July, August, and then was started, and then the contract was terminated because of some complications with the project, with the stop logs at the end, as Brian Bross from Klingner Associates kind of explained last week. This includes a sheet pile ring around the outside of the outlet of the Hawkeye storm sewer system that will help us not have to worry about the stop logs, and a river level of, with stop logs, we were having to worry about anything above 11.5 feet. With the sheet pile wall, it would be about, 18 feet, enough to allow outlet any sort of rain that would happen. And that was another biggest concern with the stop logs, is anytime we were expecting rain, draining 2/3 of the town's storm sewer through that area, we had to be concerned and had to remove those stop logs. So it caused a lot of mobilization, remobilization type activities. So the way we bid it out the first time wasn't necessarily beneficial to us. So I feel much better about this moving forward, but ultimately we still need to get it completed. So I can answer any questions on that.
Do we have an engineer's estimate?
On the cost?
Yeah.
I didn't get that. No, I mean, we have some of the sheet pile we have a lot of the materials from previous, so you'd have to remove that inventory out, and the bidders will know that inventory is on our site.
Okay.
In the 200,000
It was
range?
250,000 when we bid it last
That was
time.
yeah.
We paid out 92,000, but that included the materials.
And did we get any work done for that?
We got the hole opened up, and then we removed some of the arch sewer. We mobilized twice with the stop logs. We also have the fence, that's ours now. So we didn't really get a whole lot done. I mean, right as we opened it up to begin work, we kind of had that heavy rain event at the early September last year. And then ever since then, it stayed above that. Well, last fall we had a 20-foot river level. 22 as a crest, and then, this spring. So we had a couple of instances right before Christmas and in late February that got below that. And we tried to mobilize, but it didn't happen because of, cold weather and the short duration and whatnot. So I think that this is probably a better answer. I think the stop log still will work or can work for other type of events. I think there's probably some sediment down in the tracks. It's a concrete slab with tracks that have seals on them. I also think our seals probably need to be rehabbed. They've sat outside and they've, been weathered. So I don't know that was a lot of the reason why they weren't able to de-water from the storm sewer system.
Any other questions for Nick? Any questions from the audience? Okay. Can we get a motion, please?
Your Honor, I have a motion to close.
Second.
Moved in second. Kathleen?
Wilson,
Aye.
Phillips.
Aye.
Graham Murray,
Aye.
McCampbell,
Aye.
Rinker.
Aye. Your Honor, I have a resolution approving plans and specifications for the 2018 Front Street Hawkeye Arch Sewer Repair Project.
Second.
Moved in second. Kathleen, let's vote.
Wilson,
Aye.
Phillips.
Aye.
Graham Murray,
Aye.
McCampbell,
Aye.
Rinker.
Aye.
Resolutions.
You're gonna have a resolution approving the final plat of Border Run subdivision.
Second.
Second.
This is a two-lot subdivision at the corner of Mount Pleasant Street and Roosevelt at 2761 Mount Pleasant Street, locally known as the Taco Bell site. Currently, the Taco Bell sits on the north half of this lot, and the south half is somewhat undeveloped. They're looking to split the lot in roughly half. The north half would remain about 3/4 of an acre. The south half would be about 6/10 of an acre. And to be able to sell and subdivide that southern half, this being Taco Bell, and then this portion would be developable. They do maintain an easement over this access. This is a private access road from this point forward. The frontage road ends there, and it's a private access through the Taco Bell site, but they have cross-access agreement on the plat. So just essentially creating one additional lot for development.
All right. And that looks good. Any questions or concerns from the audience?
So if they develop that, do they have any parking at all?
They'd have to pave, improve parking. They'd have to obviously create a building and site development that accommodates the parking needs for the building.
For bicycle traffic, huh? Doesn't look very big to me, but.
It looks big enough to make some money. Hey,
Taco Bell fit on there twice.
right on me. Are we good with this?
I'm good.
Yeah. Okay, Kathleen, let's vote.
Wilson,
Aye.
Phillips.
Aye.
Graham Murray,
Aye.
McCampbell,
Aye.
Rinker.
Aye.
Number 2.
You're gonna have a resolution approving the final plat of Sweet Tooth subdivision.
Second.
Sweet Tooth.
Hey.
That cracks me up.
No.
Daddy's got a sweet tooth.
This is a one-lot subdivision on Flint Hills Drive. This property is adjoining to the building to the south. This is at 3030 Flint Hills Drive. I guess it's, they share a common wall property line now. Currently, the property line does not run through that common wall. It runs through the building, so they're adjusting that property line a few feet to make sure that it runs through the common wall, not through the building, and then adding some additional property to the east of this from the vacant lot. So currently, the property line runs approximately 8 feet south of the common wall. So this line will be shifted to the north to subdivide through the common wall, and then adding this kind of no man's land to the east of it as well, just creating one large lot. Somewhat cleaning up the property lines for it.
All right. Council, are we good?
Good.
Any questions from the audience? I see none. Kathleen, let's do it.
Wilson,
Aye.
Phillips.
Aye.
Graham Murray,
Aye.
McCampbell,
Aye.
Rinker.
Aye.
You're gonna have a resolution amending septic haulers fees effective July 1st, 2019.
Second.
Moved in second. Who's talking about that?
I don't think anyone talked about this.
James?
Where is this at in the packet? I didn't even look at it. Stephanie, you did this.
It's under you.
When we updated, When we updated,
Stephanie, would you get up here, please?
when we updated
Come help
our,
James, Stephanie. Stephanie, come help the city manager.
when we updated our sewer fees, we did that on a 5-year basis. And one of the items that was not included was for septic hauling. So the fee structure that you see included in this resolution is a 3% increase over what it previously was. So all the fees that you see in there are the 3% increase. And that's essentially what we had budgeted for a revenue increase. This, again, we had noticed that we had neglected this item with our overall sewage fee increase, and we're bringing it forward now. It's a July 1 implementation today.
Makes sense. Good move. Anybody from the audience? Council, are we satisfied?
Good.
Kathleen?
Wilson,
Aye.
Phillips.
Aye.
Graham Murray,
Aye.
McCampbell,
Aye.
Rinker.
Aye.
Number 4.
Your Honor, I have a resolution approving change orders, final acceptance, final payment, and release of retention monies for the 1106 Washington Street drainage improvements.
This project.
I'm sorry, I need a second.
Yes.
Second, sorry.
Sorry, I'm just ready to rock. This project is associated with the former Dress Rand site, where we had some cleanup. There was quite a bit of holding of water. It got pretty wet on the southwest corner of the tracks there after all the concrete was removed and the grading had gotten completed. So in order to try and fix that, alleviate that, we drafted a plan that involved some storm intake that would drop into the Hawkeye storm sewer. When we bid that project out at $19,000. You can see that as the original contract amount. Phi Excavating was on that. As Phi began to excavate, within 3 foot they ran into some other rubble, and the concrete became fairly thick and hard to go through. So we changed plan partway through, and decided to change it to more of a French drain system with some tile line that essentially accomplished the same thing but in a different manner. I wish he wouldn't have quantified it like this, and here it shows fairly despairing, as though we had approved a contract that basically reworked it all. The change order amount says for $47,000. A lot of that is quantity adjustment that would have been realized in the original contract amount as well, for dirt to be brought in to cover his topsoil. We had some originally bid in there, but as we got to try and leveling it out and try to get it to drain, it ended up being a lot more than originally expected. This project the change order amount is $247,000 over the original amount, which is quite a bit more than what the original amount. Well, the original amount was $19,000. The total built price is $47,000. So it seems really extreme when you consider the percentages. In our policy for city council is 10%. So this project is completed. It's seeded over. I think the way we called this as a change order probably didn't give you the full scope of what the change order really was going to be. The original contract amount, had we went forward with that, would have had quantity adjustments probably fairly similar to the amount that you see at the end. And so quantity adjustments don't need council approval. They're things that happen in construction where you estimate you need 10 yards of concrete. By the time you do the project, you end up with 15 or 20 yards. So it's just something that happens when you bid out for the quantity adjustments. But we did change process through the middle of this. So it ends up making the change orders look much more significant. But this project is done and completed, and I would recommend approving.
Okay.
Any questions from the audience? I see none. Council, are we satisfied? Kathleen?
Wilson,
Aye.
Phillips,
Aye.
Graham Murray,
Aye.
McCampbell,
Aye.
Rinker.
Aye.
Number 5.
Your Honor, I have a resolution approving change orders for the Mason Road shared use path.
Second.
Mr. McGregor?
This is a resolution that would approve change orders on the Mason Road project. As previously discussed, our policy is anything in excess of 10% of the project cost needs to have council approval for the change orders. As you can see, the original contract price was $198,000. We've got some quantity adjustments that is some fill dirt But the change order total, if approved with the current change order that hasn't been completed, is $44,000, bringing the total project cost to $278,000. So a fairly significant increase. The big increase of the change orders is a retaining wall along, I don't know the address of the house, but it's the lone house that sits on the north side of the road on Mason Road between kind of the two fields, between Cambridge and then Sequoia. When we shot grade for surveying last fall, something in the computer, when we put it into AutoCAD, it fluctuated it off by 6 inches, and 6 inches in grading is a pretty significant deal. So unfortunately, you have to install a retaining wall to be able to keep the grade at a necessary height so that person doesn't have, if we could do it another way, but that person would have such a severe driveway or such a severe slope to mow on. We feel it's better to install the retaining wall. So the resolution would approve that change order. This project is still ongoing, so you'll see a final on that. I don't expect any other change orders. The large thing is the quantity adjustment on the dirt just between that house and then Cambridge. So
That's what I'm glad you guys did do the retaining wall and take care of the Lone Ranger, whoever it is. That's good business, so. Questions or concerns for Nick from the audience? I see none. Council, are you satisfied, or?
Yes.
All right, then. Kathleen, let's vote.
Wilson,
Aye.
Phillips,
Aye.
Graham Murray,
Aye.
McCampbell,
Aye.
Brinker.
Aye.
Your Honor, I have a resolution approving the expenditures of flood-related projects.
Second.
Thank you. Yeah, I know, since you're back too soon. One more, Mr. McGregor.
I spoke about it at the end of the work session, but I wanted to reiterate, well, kind of what this resolution would approve. We have a lot of costs and, individual contracts that will be coming up with the cleanup of the riverfront between, all the way south from the lift station, all the way north up to kind of, the marina. So there'll be a lot of debris cleanup, building cleanup. We have 2 contracts that I'm ready to approve upon this for the HESCO removal. I think we got a pretty good price for that. And then we'll move forward with the depot cleanup. And then upon this resolution, up to $47,000, anything less than that, staff will approve to get going. We have the auditorium cleanup. That one may exceed the $47,000 threshold, of which we would bring back forth in front of City Council. But we have a lot of specific projects within that building that we want to get moving. We don't want to wait any longer. And then the port, we should have those numbers here by the end of the week.
Good.
Are these all things that we can claim under the FEMA from FEMA?
That's part of another
Or
process.
insurance, or both.
Okay. And when you say HESCO cleanup, is this a company that's gonna come in and do what typically city workers would do?
Correct. They're gonna remove the HESCOs and the sand, haul the sand out to the Public Works facility. I got clearance from the Iowa DNR that we can use the sand in the winter operations for salt sand mix.
Okay.
The HESCOs, they are no good anymore. They'll be hauled out to the Des Moines County landfill, as well as some of the sand that isn't of any good for us. It's all mucked up. So that's something traditionally we would have done, but we're far behind on a lot of the work that we normally would be completed this time of year. So $19,800 to do that work. I don't know. I talked to Chris about it. I don't know with our labor rates that we could get it done for the same price.
Aren't we gonna be able to possibly recoup some of that money, though, too?
Well, it'll be reimbursed at, is it 80% from federal? And
75 from federal, 15
75,
from
is there
our-
any state too, 10?
Right on. Yeah, well, we gotta get her done.
Okay. Yeah, no,
Everybody
that's
satisfied?
probably the smart way to do it.
You guys good?
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. McGregor.
So as he's talking about that, it's not 47,000 total that we'll see in projects this way. There'll be multiple independent projects that will far exceed that 47,000. but
Correct.
None of them individually will be more than 47. If it's something that individually is going to be more than 47,000, it'll have to come through the council. An item that is similar to, or comparable to that, with your cleanup along the
Flint Creek.
Flint Creek, you're looking at potential costs over that 47,000 on a single item. So that's one that will come specifically to the council. But you have a couple of other cleanups on the trails that would use our formal procedures or purchasing policies and move forward without coming here. I don't know. I probably just made it more confusing, but we do want to make sure that that people understand that we aren't getting rid of our purchasing policies. We're still following through with them. We just want you to know that this allows us on an unbudgeted items that we typically would use this
Right on.
process with.
That's the biggest thing is these items are unbudgeted for, so through the authority of other type of work, we approve functions like that normally, but because it's unbudgeted, we wanted to,
Make sure that
Make
it
sure
gets
that we had
some
approval.
oversight from you all.
Go ahead, John.
Has there been any contact to the property formerly known as Big Muddy's as far as cleaning up their property?
I
There's
have-
a lot
I
of
have not
stuff,
spoken with
A lot
anybody
of flood
there.
debris around there. Their grease traps floated, one floated away, one was there. There's a bunch of
Bummer.
stuff in the alley needs to be cleaned up, so I didn't know if anybody had talked to them yet about, I know they've been in the building cleaning up, but it's just the exterior part
Yeah.
of it. So-
I have not spoken with anybody about that, but we'll need to address it.
I was just curious, any idea when Flint Creek Trail will be worked on?
It'll probably be a couple weeks is my guess, by the time you line up a contractor to do that type of work.
Yeah, you were looking, you were doubtful that you're gonna be able to get bids back on that for the next council meeting, so it would be the August council meeting that you'd be taking bids on, or having council
Yeah.
consider the bids on that, most likely. With cleanup at whenever you can get a contractor in after that.
Right on. You guys good?
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Nick. Okay, Kathleen?
Wilson,
Aye.
Phillips,
Aye.
Graham Murray,
Aye.
McCampbell,
Aye.
Rinker.
Aye.
Okay, we've come to the part that you've all been waiting for. Hey, cameraman, can you work that camera and make it face the back there, the back table? Can you make the camera face, oh, you
No.
can't do that? Oh, well, I would just, before we get to the end, those of you that can't see, our chief is wearing a suit today.
Yeah.
He came in with Brute by Fabergé, and he's wearing a suit by Lexus. So we're real proud to have the chief looking GQ tonight, and what a pleasant surprise it is to see him. Man, I wish we could have a camera that could just go to this guy right now. We'll have to work it, have him go to the thing. I don't think he's gonna come for me. All right. Is there anybody from the audience that has any closing remarks before we come to an end? Yes, sir?
Eric Renteria, 521 North Fifth Street. I have a few comments today. One is, I'm sure you all saw the article in the paper about the Des Moines County attorney wanting to secure some parking spaces downtown, specific for the Des Moines County Attorney's Office. And I was kind of under the impression that you were going to talk about this at a planning meeting or whatever you call it, on the off weeks. But it got tabled, if I understand correctly.
She asked for it to be postponed, she wasn't available. So she
Okay.
was gonna, I think her plan was to have that request come to the next work session.
So I just wanted to take advantage of that opportunity just to share some thoughts on parking downtown. As you know, I've been an advocate for improving the parking situation downtown for a long time. And one of the messages I hear from council, from multiple people on the council, is that when they go downtown, they can always find a parking spot. And the characterization that retail parking can be found, and so it's adequate, is not correct. I mentioned in a previous meeting that I gave a study to Eric about parking and the appropriate amount of parking spaces that a retail outlet needs. And that number ranges from about 3.3 per 1,000 square feet to 13.3 spaces per 1,000 square feet based on the volume of traffic that attends that. And I put an article in there that I gave to Eric, but it was kind of old. So I pulled some additional articles and just kind of clipped out, the key information about parking ratios. And I would ask the council to visit the concept of parking ratios, as it's a common practice in cities all across the country. And one of the one of the articles was about new urbanist developments. And so you can Google new urbanist development parking ratios, and it will tell you what the parking ratios should be. And for example, in this particular parking, the ratio was 4-to-1. So what that means, for example, my building downtown, where we have about 10,000 square feet of retail space, we should have about 40 parking spaces for our building, and we have 4. So you can see the numbers. Even if I'm off by a pretty good factor, 4 and 40 are pretty far apart. And my message is that we need to do something to address the parking issue downtown. And I know you've heard this from me before, but it's kind of gone silent on the Tiger grant, and I'm not sure. I think it's entered that phase where what's going to happen with the Tiger grant money is being decided.
No.
So it has been decided, or it
No,
has not?
No, it has not been decided yet.
So if it's not been decided, what I would ask the council is to revisit how that money is going to be spent. And I know when I say, we would like to get some parking added out of it, people say, well, it's already been decided on what it can be spent. And then when I say, well, it's already been decided, I hear, well, it hasn't been decided. So I'm not really sure how much movement there is there. And it may be that there are some constraints. I understand that. But if we aren't doing everything that we can to use the Tiger grant for economic recovery as is stipulated within the grant language, then we're making an error. And so I'm gonna leave these articles. You guys can. They're just snippets from articles about parking ratio and how to do a calculation. So I have 2 copies. I'll give one. And I have 3 copies. So I'll leave one for you guys.
Yeah, you can give it to me and I'll just put it in the reader file.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, here, pass it down to Kathleen. Shit.
But I had a chance to speak to a council member last week, and I mentioned to them that the city has about 800 parking spaces downtown. Not optimally situated by any stretch, but it's about 800 if you calculate properly how many parking spaces we have. And there's 16 acres of retail space downtown, which means that we should have 8,000 parking spaces downtown. So again, even if I'm off by a factor, okay, it's still a hugely incorrect number of parking spaces for the retail environment that we're trying to develop downtown. And I want to repeat, I really think that the request made by the county attorney is very reflective of the parking reality downtown. And that is, being able to find a parking space when you go downtown does not mean that parking is readily available. We can all go down and find a parking space. It doesn't mean we have adequate parking available. And so if there's an opportunity to revisit the what's in the Tiger grant, and if we're really going to use that money to invest in a way that is going to impact economic recovery downtown, we really need to look at parking as a significant issue. And I will tell you that I hear it every single day. And I know we've made some strides. We added the parking lot right below Snake Alley. My customers, many of them are in their 60s and 70s. They can't park up there and shop downtown. They can't do it. So we have to have a viable plan, and we have $23 million that's being spent, and I'm going to throw this out there again, being spent on the riverfront, and we've all seen what's happened on the riverfront and why it's not the best place to put our resources, because 1, it's very unpredictable. We can't control the river. And 2, it doesn't impact the financial activity of our downtown businesses. So I'll end with one last thing, and that is just a reminder that August 4th of last year, something really significant happened in Burlington. Does anybody remember what that was?
Tama Building caught fire.
Tama Building caught fire. And what else happened on August 4th of last year?
We had the Gus Macker.
Gus Macker tournament. If you were at the Gus Macker tournament, you didn't even know that the biggest fire in Burlington history was taking place. These are two worlds that are separated by a huge void. They're not connected, and they will not be connected even if we turn Main Street from 4 lanes to 3 lanes. It just doesn't connect them. I'm just urging that we act judiciously with the funds that we've been given, and I'm hoping that there's an opportunity to provide additional feedback and direction on how those expenditures are made. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate your comments. Hey, I do want to make a statement to you after the meeting. Okay. Any other comments from the audience? Man, I'll tell you what. Besides Eric coming down here tonight, the rest of you guys have been fantastic. I'm just teasing you, Eric. Mr. Tisdale, anything closing? No. Kathleen, you got anything?
Just a reminder, I have nomination papers for council in my office.
Could you say that to the microphone, make sure everybody hears you at home, please?
I have nomination papers in my office if anyone wants to stop in. They're also at the Des Moines County Auditor's Office and online Secretary of State.
Okay, there you go.
2 seats.
2 seats. 2 seats. I know for a fact, 1 for sure. So, take out some papers. Peanut butter.
Yes, I will not be here next week. I'll be celebrating my 20th wedding anniversary in Chicago. So that means I'm making, thank you. So I'm making up, and I have extra stuff tonight, so bear with me. It's July already, so get your pen out. We've got July 20th, a very vintage market is coming up, so it'll be full of retro and reused and repurposed and upcycled treasures. There's lots to see and do, so I encourage you to attend a very vintage market Saturday, July 20th. Saturday, July 12th, for you movie fans, there's a free movie downtown, How to Train Your Dragon. So make sure you check that out. And last week of RAGBRAI, last week is RAGBRAI, or the third to the last? July 26th.
Yeah.
Okay. That's RAGBRAI. And for those of you that don't know, that stands for the Register's Annual Great Bike Ride Across Iowa. And for the first time ever, we stay in Burlington, so that really makes the ride great. So make sure you come out and welcome all these 20,000 people to our community. And then, let's see, we're saddened about the flooding that hit downtown and the Iowa Store and Memorial Auditorium, but we're also deeply saddened by the loss of Bonnie Baldwin. So she's really gonna be missed, her lovely smile. No farmer's market this week because it's 4th of July, so everybody celebrate. I went last week, I got farm fresh eggs. I rode an electric car at Tulsa, it was really cool. Tesla, am I pronouncing it? Thank you. Fresh picked basil, and it was really fun, so that's all I have.
All right. I'll tell you what, we got a party down on this end, and we end up with James. John Billups.
What did the bishop used to say?
I reserve the right.
I reserve the right.
Yeah, I've got nothing, but I reserve the right. Yeah.
I've got nothing but I reserve the right.
Right on. MPT.
The bees are back in town, starting tomorrow. So there should be some good. They've been doing really good. So every game seems to be pretty exciting. You should get out there and catch a few.
Right on.
And then, of course, this weekend is the Symphonic Blast, which is at Crapo Park. And that starts at 8.
Sweet.
Don't forget your bug spray, a chair. There'll be fireworks. So,
When is this?
Sunday, right?
no,
Saturday?
July 6th.
Kicking off at what time?
Sweet.
8.
Kicking off at 8. Fireworks afterwards, huh?
Yeah, well, during the end.
Fireworks during?
You know, it's all coordinated.
The Sperry event is the same time as well.
All right.
So.
Is that all you got?
That is it. Thank you.
That sounds like plenty. Mr. Rinker.
Anyways, I don't have anything other than just say be safe, and remember fireworks are illegal in the city of Burlington. I know Chief Trexler would like it if we reminded folks, and my dog would like it as well. So outside of that, everybody have a safe week.
James.
I get to be on the radio this week. I will not be here next week. We're at family camp, so y'all remember, coordinate
I got
who's
it.
going to be on. Tiger Grant as you talk about it, you had an estimated project budget that you approved, and it outlined, and the grant itself, the grant agreement that you approved last meeting is fairly specific about what you can and cannot use it for. The funds that are spent along Jefferson Street and Main Street do have some flexibility, but it is not in regards to a parking lot. The third phase that is along the riverfront, and one of those amenities that's included in that is some redesign within parking facilities, but it is for the riverfront.
Right on.
So the delineated flexibility for talking about parking and how things may or may not fit within it, it doesn't match the scope of what the request was tonight. So just to be a little bit more specific about where that goes. Now, there's a couple of public meetings that need to be held. I haven't talked, I don't know that I have any details on, do you have any idea when we're looking to do that?
I think it's like the 16th to the 18th that week.
So tentatively, the week of the 16th is, there should be a public forum. You will have an announcement that goes out on our website, a press release, I assume?
Yes.
When we're doing that too, so, but look for that to be tentatively that week, and then
Right on.
2 or 3 weeks after that, it would be a follow-up, a second one. That's it for what I know of. Did you have anything else?
Okay.
That's it.
All right, then. You guys have been fantastic tonight. Just want to, closing remarks, I know that Carolyn is watching at home, my best buddy. Just want to say hi, welcome back to America. And just be mindful again, with the fireworks, 4th of July coming up. We want to be respectful to our neighbors, and we want everybody to have a good time and enjoy it as well. So enjoy it, but be respectful as you do. We want to treat others the way we'd want to be treated. So let's make sure to remember that as we come into the celebration week. Nothing else? Then somebody take us
Move
out.
to adjourn?
Second.
Moved and second twice. Kathleen?
Wilson?
Aye.
Phillips?
Aye.
Graham Murray?
Aye.
McCampbell?